Check, check. Check. Calvin Witcher, if you're around, will you call me? I don't know what the fuck to do. Can anyone hear me? Thank you. Fucking irritated. Anyway. So let me put the mix minus back on. Tell me if this... All right. Can you still hear me? Say, I can still hear you. I can hear you still. Hi, Lorelei. How are you? You should call in with the video. All right, because I don't know what the fuck was going on. This is so goddamn irritating. I have had the month from hell. Like, Mercury's not retrograde, but I heard some about Pluto. I'm not an astrologer. I don't know where Storm is, but Storm, if you're listening, Storm Sestavani, we have a call-in and a video in line now. The number to call is 504-252-0391. That's 504-252-0391. And if you want a video in, you must. I would prefer you wear headphones, but if not, it should be okay. It's hexoffenders.live/join. I believe that's called a / hexoffenders.live/join. Something about Pluto fuckery with Capricorn, and I'm a Capricorn, so I have no idea. I'm just miserable. Someone says they hear two of me. I don't know why that would be. Because I'm crazy and I have, two personalities in here, and that's probably why. Maybe you have two browsers open. I don't know. Does anybody other than Sapphire hear two of me? Reload your page. I literally have been having, we didn't have fucking hot water since Wednesday. And I am about to write a new book called Surviving New Orleans. The love-hate relationship we have with the world's best managed third world country. Because that's like the fuck. It's like you love the city, you love the food, the people are wonderful and kind, and just there's so many things to love about this city. But it is not efficient. So then we get the fucking part for the tankless water heater. And if you have Facebook and YouTube, you'd hear two with one. Why is anybody watching me on two different things? Well, of course you're going to hear delay. They're not in the same to-do, you know what I mean? They have different lags. But anyway, if Sapphire asked, do you see yourself going back to Salem? No, I hate snow. And other than my friends there, I hate most of the people. I love the people here. They just don't get anything done. So we had to wait, and we had to get this part, and it was sent to the wrong address instead of our home address. It was somewhere in the French Quarter at some hotel, and I had to send a staff member because we couldn't leave, and then they had to leave. We had to close the store because I had a hand appointment. Brian had to be there for the cleaning ladies. And so we couldn't leave, so we had to close the store just to get somebody, Brandon, to bring down the part from the hotel. It is a fucking miserable nightmare. Miserable. The surgeon couldn't understand why. I said, well, I might want to go and get my hand surgery up there in Massachusetts because, I just have trouble. And she's, what do you mean you don't trust? I'm like, well, I hear you do the best liver transplants in America, because half the people are drunk. But, in Massachusetts, well, we're all fucking massholes, so naturally our specialty is heart attacks. I'm sure we do well with strokes as well. No hot water, and, this one particular rat-faced muscle queen freak show out there in Chicago. I shouldn't let this stuff get to me. Sometimes it does, you know. Your businesses are in decline. And their businesses are in decline. I'm like, Brian, did you say you wanted to go to a hotel for a couple days to take a shower? And he said, well, I don't want to stay at the hotel. We'll just go there to take a shower. I said, good. I'm renting the Windsor Court. It's about $500 or $600 a day. Maybe we'll use the spa. Either way, we just paid $600 a day for a fucking bathroom. Just to sort of make a point of it, you know, you might think we're in decline. Yeah. New Bern is way cool. Where's New Bern? I don't know. If I left New Orleans, I would have to go somewhere in Europe. I have a feeling when I go to Italy, I'm not going to want to leave. I love London. I love Wales. I loved Hania and Crete. It was just wonderful. Yeah, Jane says that's you're in decline. That's why you keep opening stores every year. Well, I haven't opened a store since 2012, but that's not an issue of money. That's an issue of I don't want to open more stores in Salem. I don't feel like I can manage another remote location, or we would have been in London by now. But we'd love to have an Omen here in New Orleans. The problem is that there's barely any space, and we want to be in the French Quarter in certain places, and it's that type of thing that you got to know the right people to get the right space. And it's like, you know, we really want to be able to get something that is, you know, what we want to have, you know, the type of place that we want to be in. By the way, this is Hex Offenders, part of the Hex Education radio network, and I have to just call the staff here because I'm like dying here. Hold on, I need like a Kleenex. Boop.
Brian for 500?
No, this is Christian. I'm desperate. Would you bring me some Kleenex or some sort of thing? Maybe there's some on the psychic table or even paper towels at this point.
Yep, I got you.
Thank you. Hope I didn't lock the door. So anyway, I'm going to be taking questions all night. It's about 2 hours. I'm going to be running 2 hours, roughly, whenever I get sick of it. Video call-ins are hexoffenders.live/join. That should take you right into the system. And the number to call if you want to call in and not be seen is 504-252-0391. I'm probably just going to have the caller, you know, call in what's your question and then, you know, answer the question. Oh, thank you. This is fine. I'm going to turn this away because I'm like, I don't want to blow my nose in front of people here. Hold on. Anywho, boop, here I am. I'm back. So, yeah, if people say, can we ask over Facebook? I can see every question on every Facebook I am published to, as far as I know. This Restream chat allows me, if, you know, wherever you're watching the book, I should see your questions, including, I mean, watching the show, including YouTube, but you can call in. You can reach me by airplane. You can reach me by an electric chair. Only if I don't like you. New Bern is approximately 30 miles from the Atlantic. Why would I want to be 30 miles from the Atlantic Ocean if I could be on the Atlantic? If I was going to be 30 miles from an ocean, I'd want to be on the ocean. I followed you for a Sherry Landry. So hard to see this. I have to push it back. I followed you for a couple of years now on the previous podcast, Hex Education. They're older shows, but new to me, and each program is interesting. I'm surprised you're not horrified. But anyway, the topic for tonight is minding your own magical business. That just popped up into my head about 20 minutes before the show. And it's kind of a twofold thing. People are always getting up in your business. That's number one. These people in the magical community don't have enough to do. And people who have businesses, it's not even a bit, people aren't tending to their own gardens. And, they're so busy trying to be important that they forget about the work. I like to take my time to get out and put myself out there, but, I don't have a lot of time. I thought earlier I really wanted to start doing my eyes for the show, because I like doing my eyes. They're very magical, but I can't fucking find the time. And there's so much to do, and I cannot forget the tending of my garden, even when there are constant distractions, because there are constant distractions. But, oh my God, I so love, this is my favorite lesbian. Her name is Mabel. Who the hell is texting? Oh, don't text me. Oh, this is my occupational therapist. I'm live I should have her call in. She's very Jesus-y, but she's mystical. And she's kind of cool. But Mabel is the best thing I've ever heard her described. Mabel, you might remember Rose. I don't even know if she was very old then. This was 20 years ago. I don't even know if she's still alive. But she had a little beauty shop in Marblehead, and we were all at the Porthole in Lynn, horrible city. And she described my friend Mabel as a Renaissance painting, and that's really the best. Beautiful, beautiful. And truly one of the kindest-hearted people I've ever known. We fall out of touch from time to time, because we're all busy with our lives and tending our gardens. I mean, this is the thing, people, we have lives to live. And I don't know, it's been one of those fucking months. Between all the technical bullshit and crap going on, you still got to do your thing. You still got to make your bones, as they say. Well, no, that's the mafia term. Make your bread. Maybe, I don't know. I'm confusing my work ethic with my villainous side. But by the way, if you do want to call in, it's 504-252-0391 or video call-ins, hexoffenders.live/join. And we are, the whole idea of minding your magical business, for years I've watched people out there, always going on about what everybody else is doing. I've done it too, we all do it. We go, oh my God, can you believe this? How much we do it, how loudly we do it, how far and wide we do it, I mean, it really defines you, you know what I mean? It's like I try to reserve my criticisms for the bigger things. That's why if you're on my Facebook feed with any regularity, I'm either posting funny stories I find, or I hate Trump, because I really hate Trump, or, things that I think are bigger things. Unless something just personally affects me, and they're coming for me, I try to, one of my mentors is Lori Cabot, and, she's always telling me just to ignore it. And she's so good at that, you know what I mean? But she's also not online. It's easier to be good at that when you're not online. But she's very tunnel visioned, so she doesn't see all of it. But, once in a while, I do get to this. I usually am the Alexis, but the way, from Dynasty, but sometimes I'm Crystal in the sense that when the Alexises come at me, when you ignore them and you ignore them and you ignore them, and finally you chuck them in the lily pond by the end of the season, like they had in Dynasty, because you just get so fucking sick of it. You have to finally just say, okay, now it's time to show what's going on. Douglas Helvey asked, talking about minding your own business, what is your opinion on the direction most pagan pride days are going? Brian calls them the park pagans. I think his book is really going to upset those people in particular, because it unapologetically defines witchcraft as an initiatory path without exception. It doesn't mean he doesn't recognize other people's narrative of witch, because that ship has sailed, but in his personal beliefs, he is, what he is. and it's initiatory. And he made a point to me the other day that, part of the reason I may be gaining fans among the initiates, though I still have some that hate me, but losing some of those Judica types, is that it's sort of like when Oprah loses weight. Her show ratings would go down. And, here I am. Brian pointed something out to me that I'm very rare in the sense that how many truly well-known media witch personalities have spent 30 years basically saying, I'm a rebel witch. I don't need initiation, neither do you. And then after 30 years, about give or take a year, I decide to go down this path, which was a personal path for me. I'm no representative of Alexandrian or initiatory craft, though for me, it's what I do and it's what I study every Tuesday. And without clockwork, there I am, schlepping it with everybody else. I can't put any airs because I'm first degree. So I am not treated, if anything, my husband and high priestess might be harder on me in some ways, maybe easier in others, but I don't get any special treatment. I am there to learn, and and even though I have all these things that I already know, I have to sort of put a lot of that aside to do the initiatory. So for somebody, usually you see that the other way around. These people get initiated and then they go off and they're like, I'm starting my own tradition. Or, they were initiated by somebody back then and then they pretend they never were, and suddenly they have a family tradition that never existed before. God, could I go on? I try not to really get into all those hereditary thingies. What does Mabel disagree about? Mabel, what do you disagree with? That the, excuse me, I don't have allergies, but my sinuses are horrible. But I don't get into all those people that claim all these false family stories because it's such a giant house of cards that to pull just 2 or 3 of them, a whole lot of careers would come crumbling down. And I'm not interested in destroying King's Landing here. If you have some fake story and that's what gets you through, hey, it ain't my bag. You know what I mean? I have the name I was born with. Oh, okay, she disagreed about a comment. Okay, I don't know. I can't see every comment. With my glasses, it's like I actually have to look real close or not look close. It's like I either have to push the computer away. J.M. Godell says, so what's your view on solitary practice? Well, for 30 years, it was great. Though I wasn't actually. I was in Sean Poirier's coven, but I look at that. I don't see myself as not having been a witch for those years. I don't. I do think I was a witch. And I do think that there are solitary people who are going to do things, but I don't know. It's like if you haven't I was looking for the comment about was this. Anyway, if you haven't had any training from anybody, it's like you sort of are by the seat of your pants. So I do have to wonder whether witch really applies. You know what I mean? I didn't really see myself as a witch until I took Laurie Cabot's class. And then, I studied with Sean and I was in his coven for, 20 years. And, 1995 to 2005. 12. Well, then I was in it after he died. But, I'm now doing this. But here's the thing. Do I think solitary is valid? To a point, but I can say this. The 2 most life-changing magical experiences I ever had were Witchcraft 1 with Laurie Cabot and being initiated. Now, obviously, those two things are in two very different genres, though Lori does initiate. So, there are some overlaps, but for different reasons. Witchcraft one taught me I could be psychic. I don't see this Angela person that everybody's responding to, so I'm thinking maybe I have her blocked. I don't know. My guess is she's bitching about the fucking photo. I would love to see what she looks like. I mean, some of these people that have complained, like, I go and I look at their pages, and they're those people that, like, they go, you know what I mean? They're at such fucking bizarre angles that they literally, that's the only way they could take 50 pounds off their face. And then, on top of that, they've run Facetune and every other fucking thing. So by the time you scrape off the glamour shot, it looks like a mug shot. So... And if you want to look like a mugshot, I'll look like me, thank you. Even fat, I'm pretty. So here's the thing. All these people, I love how I can't even see this. And it's funny because, like, all those years, I did it like 8 years of the Hex Education Radio, and only 2 people, 2 haters have ever called in all that time. Sometimes I wish they would, but then they just, like, they're insane. But it's like, look, if the only thing that makes you look even remotely presentable is, Snapchat filters and a camera on a ladder, okay, come criticize. At the end of the day, whatever. Sapphire says, I'm ugly and I own it. Well, hey, if you, look, I'm fat, I decorate it. I stick on, I wear clothes, I'm like, what did Adina from Absolutely Fabulous? It's not my fat, it's DKNY. Whatever. At the end of the day, all of this fucking hullabaloo, all of this hullabaloo is going to translate to sales. Mabel will appreciate this. It's sort of like when Howard Stern said lesbians equal ratings. It's like there's certain things, not for anything. When Sean and I started out, we had all these titty girls on our arms, bikini vampires and every other slutty looking thing. Leanne and, her tits pushed up and crawling around on the hood of the Miller Lite hearse for Halloween. We've just, we've played up all of the beauty myths, which of course, it's all cultural bullshit. But you play with it, because at the end of the day, you could be the ugliest fucking person on earth, and you can work it if you know how to work it. It doesn't matter. It matters. Your confidence matters. Look at anybody that watches Drag Race. Look at Silky Ganache. I mean, that's like 900 pounds of a potato sack and an ugly face and a lisp, and she's working it. So I wouldn't be surprised if she won. Because she takes what she is and just puts it out there with full on, And this is the thing, we all, when we're minding other people's magical business, it is a sign of insecurity and jealousy. It is a sign of that. And it isn't just jealousy of, Christian and Brian are successful. It's more granular, and other people face it too. You don't have to be wealthy or any of those things. Sometimes you just have to be doing it and they're not doing it. If you're, by the way, apparently Angela was saying it was the Park Pagan Pride people that make us look like clowns. Well, I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of the Pagan Pride people are the ones that are so focused on being solitary that they really don't know how to do anything. They're just, I'm solitary, but what do you do? Go home and light a candle? Sometimes, like Brian says, those people should be more solitary so we don't have to see them. It is what it is. I mean, I suppose the Park Pagans make all of this a little more acceptable, but I don't know how much I like being acceptable. I kind of like, I'm pretty unacceptable. I like that. So I feel like if you are going to spend all your time looking at how everybody is doing this tradition or that tradition wrong, then you should also be spending the time with your own garden. What are you doing to make your life more magical? And this doesn't just include people in the business of magic, but you're, tending to your own garden. Are you reading your magical books? Are you studying? Have you found a teacher? Are you putting, every fucking. I mean, I was in an ad hoc coven. Sean and I and the group would meet once a month, maybe for Sabbath. So sometimes we'd sit around the table reading tea leaves and casting spells or whatever. But it wasn't this rigorous. It is every Tuesday. And I don't regret it. I feel like just as when I was in voice lessons, because I was singing in the shower today and I sounded hoarse, and I was thinking, Jesus, I wish I could sing. And, I want to get voice lessons, because when you're in that regular mode, whether you're doing psychic readings regularly, when I used to do phone readings, I was always on because you're keeping your skills sharpened. Now the magical skills seem to be sharper, sharper than ever. Yeah. Sharper than ever, because I'm every Tuesday I'm doing ritual, I'm doing, mental mind training and magic and meditation and all kinds of things that are, very powerful and empowering. So, yeah, is it just the initiation that I'm trumpeting? No, I think it's also the training. Do I think you'll get that from every coven? By the way, is this? Yeah, I guess it is. I don't necessarily know if you'll get that from every coven. I am wondering why this is. Okay, I don't know if that's any better. This is weird. I don't know if you'll get that from every coven. That kind of training, but I do think that you should definitely try to vet people and get something that does work for you. The other thing about minding your own magical business, I'm not going to name names much as I should, but I'm not going to name, is I think this, everyone knows I got haters. And now Brian got initiated in 2014. Nobody knew who he was. He had already had a tradition, but he, as he said on his own show, he wasn't able to verify it. So he really explored and came out as a priest. And because he was with me, people attacked him viciously. Apparently Douglas tried to call. I don't see any call. The number to call is 504-252-0391. That's 504-252-0391. I don't know why it wouldn't come through. But wait a second, because I'll finish this. But here's the thing. It's like they attacked him viciously because he was with me. And, oh, God, I wish I could turn them. I got to get soundproofing for this room. Because he was with me, he was viciously attacked. Now it's the other way around. He's got people that hate on him, and then they come after me, and it's like, God, that's almost like a welcome. I don't have to always feel like I'm in the front there, taking it all. But now it's this fucking book. Like, I get to read his book, Initiation into Witchcraft, available on iTunes. No, it's not. It will be available for pre-order of signed copies at hexwitch.com, which is our hex shopping website, omensalem.com, which is our omen shopping website, and there will be signed copies available at both, and we'll have it at Hexfest, and we'll be able to have him sign them there, but I get to read it as it's going. And I'm thinking, God, if I'd read something like this 30 years ago, I would have made a point to get initiated. I would have felt like this is compelling. It is magical. Oh my fucking God. Yeah. Douglas, is this you? Apparently I can't hear you. Hold on. Douglas? Hello?
Hey.
Okay, well, let me just finish.
Hey,
Give me a point to finish my point here. So hold on. I'm just going to mute you for a moment. So just stay. Make sure you do not have. Make sure you don't have the YouTube on while you're on the phone. So anyway, so the book cover. Again, anybody that watches Drag Race, when you get to those last few episodes where you got the best queens. They're like nitpicking the hem. And it looks like you hot glued, and maybe your hair was just ever so slightly off. Those are the kinds of criticisms I'm seeing. It's like, I don't like his hair, and I don't like that type of rope, and it's all this nitpicky shit that's like the last few episodes of Drag Race. It's like, okay, well, that's all you can say. But obviously, it's a stunning fucking cover. If I do, I designed it. Brian, together we came up with the concept, but it's fucking kick-ass. It's very movie poster. In fact, I'm going to make posters of it. I had some of the best creatives in the business love that photo. So the people that don't, whatever, they have no taste. I don't care. You can always tweak. I noticed this little indent in the hair. I'm like, I'm going to fix that. But nobody would even notice the difference. You know what I mean? But the reality is, it's so threatening to people. It's so threatening. I'm going to take this question, though. Doug, what's your question?
Well, it's not so much a question as a commentary about the discussion you're currently having. One of the things that, as somebody that, for lack of a better way to put it, has watched your career over the years as what anybody with an ounce of brains would call a career warlock, which I obviously completely respect that idea, is unlike some people who will just, open up a book. We call it down here in the South, we call them IRABs. I read a book, therefore I are a witch. You have, like, for instance, similar to Lori Cabot, you've walked your walk, talked your talk, and, let's call it what it is. You've gone on to become what I jokingly call witch and famous. So this is different, when you said you hadn't been initiated for whatever it was, 30 years, and you recently came to that point of deciding that was the right move. I don't feel personally, I've only literally spent like probably 5 minutes with you one time a long time ago, but you are a voice for this belief system, if you will, whether others like it or not. I
never cared.
I'm kind of old school. Yeah.
Who cares?
I'm old school. Yeah. I'm old school on this issue. It's like you either are diehard supporter of these beliefs, as are you, and you just so happen to also be a successful, witchcraft business entrepreneur. There's no wrong in that. Down here in the South, when people hate on others in the witchcraft community, especially if you might have a little bit of financial success or your life is stable, we call it having a crab pot mentality. We call it having a crab pot mentality, meaning that if you ever watch crabs in a bucket, the ones at the bottom will try to reach up and pull the ones on top down. And that's literally what some of the various haters.
I've personally experienced that. In fact, when I was 14 and my father decided to take me on a trip to Key West by car, he said, he'll be out of school for 2 weeks. He says to my mother, they weren't together, I was gone for 3 months. In Daytona Beach, I went crabbing and I got a big bucket and it was murky and dark. My father comes over thinking, what kind of crabs are these? And they were gigantic. They were running down the street. But anyway, I'm going to get back to where I was going with this book cover. But no, I get what you're saying. And I think that, people, you can't listen to the no voices because there's always going to be a giant chorus of them. And if you are looking for people to tell you can't do it, they're never going to be in short supply. So if that's what you define your trajectory by, you're not going to go anywhere. But thank you for calling in. You can turn your volume back up on the screen there. And the number to call in is 504-252-0391. And here's the thing. I get there's going to be some people that are just, they're not used to an author being on the cover, but there's 3 groups that are very going to be upset about that. You've got certain initiates that don't think, anyone should be loud about it. And, there you've got someone like Deborah Lipp that's written, in fact, her wife has been running around, liking the hate about the book. But this woman's had 4 books. Deborah Lipp's had 4 books by Llewellyn. How many of you in the comments actually know who she is? Because after 4 books of Llewellyn, I would think, she'd be super well known, but I never meet anybody that knows who she is unless they're like serious initiates or something. Nobody else knows who she is. I think that you've got someone like Jason Mankey that writes a lot of wonderful books, but they're not just about initiation, but he is an initiate. So, but he's not putting that super dramatic, Brian's got this thing right on the cover. It's like, here I am. Here it is. And I think some initiates are going to be threatened by that. I think the park pagans are going to hate it because so far I haven't heard one comment. Who knows Deborah Lipp? Come on, please post. Nobody. So the park pagans aren't going to like it because it really does put out this idea that, initiations is important. And the witchcraft people, the how many frogs can I kill to be Cornish, is, they have kind of owned that word witch over the last 7 or 8 years. Because I know that Charles Cochrane wrote a few letters to whoever. I don't even remember the story, but I know he wrote a few letters. Nobody cared. Doreen Valiente wrote something about him, 20 years later or whatever it was, and there was a little buzz for a time. But then he OD'd on Belladonna or whatever. Somehow, I know my friend Robin Artiston kicked off a lot of that, but he's also moved on from a lot of that. And, there was just this big thing of, witchcraft. They have as many ways of spelling witch as, the radical feminists do women. WOMBAN or, whatever, but it's like VYTCHE or whatever. But, and I think that some of them, like Robin's done amazing research, so has Gemma Gary. I think there are things in those books that are actual windows into things, but I think that it's just a piece of it, just like I think, the initiates don't necessarily have the whole piece either. But, it's a lot of them are like, we finally destroyed the idea of witchcraft as a religion. God knows, I used to say it wasn't a religion, and I don't believe that anymore. But, it's wait a minute, because love? I don't even know what Deborah Lipp's name is familiar to me because loves. Lisa said, if Deborah hadn't initiated you, I would have never heard. She didn't initiate me. Oh my God. I have limits to what I'll see naked. Anyway. You. Yeah. So, I don't have I can't. Oh, if Deborah hadn't irritated you. I thought you said initiated you. Oh my God. Nightmares. So anyway, because if I take the glasses off, it's too blurry. If I put them on, it's like I have to push the screen further away. It's really a pain in the ass. So, and yes, some of you will, because I see all of the comments from every place that this is showing, like Nicole, you're not able to see all the other ones because you're only seeing them wherever you are. So anyway, so the witchcraft is not any religious sort of, they're going to have a problem. But at the end of the day, I think that people, if they actually read the book, they might not agree with all. I don't agree with all of it. I mean, my husband has more of a, well, it really wasn't witchcraft. You were on the path, or whatever. But, whereas I'm like, no, I think I was a witch before. We have opinions that vary, but his book is an incredibly powerful and compelling introduction to initiation. And Brian says he gives his haters the most publicity, XOX. Well, I kind of, sometimes you got to call people out, though. You got to make somebody the butt of the joke. And the other thing is, Joan Rivers always said, if nobody knows who you're talking about, I'm making my own point. If nobody, if you're talking about the Kardashians, everybody knows. I talk about Deborah Lipp, nobody's ever heard of her. It's really true. It has one person, only one person. Oh, Sherry said, I recognize her name because I love Llewellyn, but I don't recall exactly what she wrote. Yeah, Deborah, that's the best you got. The only other person knew who you were because you irritated me. So, anyway, Mabel says that Brian has a sexy accent. I really want Mabel to come stay with us, Brian, so she can swim in the pool and hang out with us. And I have a feeling you will absolutely adore her. So, Mabel, we need to really work that out. She's truly one of the most amazing people I've ever known. And anyhow, and she says, and I am still a lesbo. Of course you are, dear. She's the prettiest one there ever was. But honestly, it's. I think they're just being nitpicky. I think once people, I was speaking to, we hired an editor to do all the little tweaky, commas and that sort of bullshit that, editors do. And because of my hand, so I had to give up editor. And this is, Terrence Ward that wrote for The Wild Hunt. He's just spectacular. And we just talked this afternoon. And I said, he is a cynical bitch. I told him, I said, you are a cynical bitch. I said, you're not a yesy person. I want to know, is this, you're sort of not into this. So what are you taking away from this, what you're reading right now? I said, is it, and he said, it's very compelling. And that he put it on par with how he felt about Ronald Hutton's Triumphs of the Moon. I have my issues here and there with Ronald Hutton's work, but what a great comparison. Here I am thinking, God, what if he says that, he hasn't felt this way about a book since Scott Cunningham's Wicca for the Solitary Practitioner? I would have been crushed. To put Brian's level of depth, on par with someone who is a great scholar. The problem with a work like Triumph of the Moon is the same problem you find in all of academia. Triumph of the Moon is sort of gives you the sense that maybe it's all made up, but then you read between the lines. There's a lot of layers in that book. So there's things I like, there's things I don't. But with any academic, what is his name? He used to be the U.S. attorney under Bush. William Budd, I think was his name. And I saw him give a lecture once about the value of liberal arts. And I think it's important that we are well-rounded, because when you become a specialist like Hutton, you get trapped in this one place. I'm a historian. I'm looking at it this way. They don't understand. And they're not able to, by virtue of the shackles of their speciality in academia and by the overall tone of academia itself, is that story that is folklore, that is the vibe. When we talk about spirit of place and the energy of a place, there's an energy of a time. There's a story that comes together. And as I read these things that Brian finds, and, I find a thing, he said, well, you come up with a thing every chapter. There's some little gimme I'll find, that's kind of cool. And, between all of his great research and some of these things I'm finding and looking at them, they begin to show stories. Their coincidences continue to emerge, which from an academic perspective, maybe you can't be that rock solid. But as a person who is trying to dig out those layers of magic and story and history that are not just the written word. I mean, as a politics major, we learned, talk about history as written by the winners. You never see that more than in politics. I remember when Brian and I, first, decided to do Warlock Press, and and he's writing the book. Well, actually, this was before, but doing the book. When he first came to me and wanted to write a book, I said, well, my thing I would say is, in politics we always say, what is the big why here? What's why? Why am I doing witchcraft? Why am I doing this practice? And if you can define that why, whether it's a why of a point of history or political happening or folklore or your own religious practices of magic, then you can sell that to somebody else and give them that story. And here's the thing. Sean Poirier always said, witchcraft is a whole bunch of coincidences. But if you rack up enough of them, you obviously got some talent. And that's what I'm seeing with this book. I'm seeing so many aspects of the story that when brought all together, they do really give some power to what Margaret Murray said. Maybe not this universal witch cult, but there certainly were cults that were, if not universal, overlapping. I mean, the cult of Isis was very universal, but then what was Isis? A goddess of fucking magic. Hello? We're going to Nemi, Lake Nemi, which is the mirror of Diana, in June, and we're blessed to, actually be able to be right on the lake, where we are. And so this is a place where Caligula would bring the barges of Isis out onto the lake, and then now it's associated with Diana. And, Isis is magic. Diana was associated with witchcraft. I mean, as you begin to connect the dots, maybe you're not seeing this universal thing, but a story emerges. And a number of stories emerge, and they are the story of the witch. And it includes, as Murray would say, the operative magic and the religious, and they are often and almost always intertwined. I used to say, oh, witchcraft's not a religion. Levi made this great point. There were people like John Dee in the height, of those witch trial times that they're doing magic for Queen Elizabeth I. Obviously, magic's not always this huge deal. However, once it adds the diabolism, which is the devil or Diana or some, remember, these ceremonial magicians cloaked everything in angels. If they dealt with demons, the demons were under the control of the angels because you were calling on God. So there was this sort of turn a blind eye. The reason witchcraft was religious is it's associated with the Queen of Elfame, Diana, Herodias, which sounds very much like Aradia, the devil himself, and of course, my personal favorite, Christ Sunday, which is in Margaret Murray. And, I was born on Christmas, and my mother's name was Mary, and, there's just this sort of thing. Oh, someone asked about Saint Louis. Now, Saint Louis, he's often doing readings and traveling. So what we're doing is he's going to be coming on as an occasional guest, probably more than other people. I don't know. It depends on his schedule. I'm always happy to have him, but I just want to keep this consistent, and I also want to run, he likes to only do an hour. And, so he can come on for an hour and then leave, and then, I can run for 2 hours, because I like to run longer. And I just always run out of time. And by the way, if you'd like to call in with questions, the number to call in is 504-252-0391. And Brian, if you're listening, there's going to be a number for you too, but I have to set it up with Levi. Will probably have to run the number thing. But it's, I love my husband dearly. Not super technical. And there'll be a number, and there'll also be a video call in that I'll be able to set up every Friday. And if you want a video in, you just go to hexoffenders.live/join. I would prefer you use headphones. I think it will make a difference. But Mabel said, people often judge me because I embrace Wiccan or witchcraft. They think it is wrong. I didn't know you don't practice it. It's if something changed. I don't remember Mabel ever being witchy, but of course she was exposed to me. I love my occupational hand therapist. She's very Jesus-y, but she's kind of like progressive. She goes to PFLAG and that sort of thing and supports gay parents and all this other things, But yeah, the witchcraft thing sort of freaks her out. Somebody said it doesn't work. I tried that way. What did they try? It's HEXOFFENDERS.live/join. Well, let me see. When I went to it before, it worked. Let me see. Yeah, the link's working. It's forwarding. You just have to allow your thing. You have to allow it to access your. If you go to, I don't even think you have to put in the www. It's just HEXOFFENDERS.live/join. It's the /. I know if I paste it, it's going to go to most of the pages except the Witches and Warlocks group. Let me see. I'm going to paste it in here. I don't know. I find people have trouble with it, but I haven't had any trouble with it. I don't understand. And I just tried to get in. It was weird. Hold on. I gotta make sure it's. Damn it. Okay. Mary Cleaver said, I love listening to Brian and Levi. There is so much information they share. I can't wait to read Brian's book. No, that show is so great, and they're so funny. You know what I mean? They just have and they play off each other perfectly. And I learn a lot too listening, because I'm new to a lot of these concepts that Brian teaches. And, it's like I've always been sort of that rogue. I'm still a bit of a mercenary witch. Oh, here we do have somebody. Hold on. Now available for rendezvous. Let me see. All right, let me see. I'm going to see if I can add here. Change source. Well, now I'm not seeing him. He was there. Oh, weird. I just almost had him in there. Douglas, what happened? Oh, I hate technology. It sucks. I just had it. Like he was just showing up. And then when I went, you gotta stay in there, people. Like if you're in the rendezvous, because it's he's no longer showing up. I have no idea. Well, anyway, if you go to hexoffenders.live/join, you will be able to video in. Did someone just... This is so fucking frustrating. I'm just going to scream. Can I just scream? It's like, it's hard when you're yourself, you know what I mean? And then you're trying to figure out some technology thing that's decided to suddenly not work. Plus, I got to take my glasses off just to do it. All right, is anybody? Why? It's like this rendezvous thing is amazing. I've brought people on it plenty of times. Oh, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody new. It says Douglas meeting in the back of Hughes bookstore. I don't know. But if you've got questions, definitely put them in the chat. And the number to call is 504. I do appreciate the compliments, Douglas, but I would prefer questions to commentary. I am good. I am already in. It's not showing you as being in the queue. Unless you're calling yourself something other than Douglas. Jen says waiting to join. I don't see anybody in there. And when hold on. I don't know. Let me try this. I have no idea. I'm going to put the direct, oh, there I see Jennifer is available to rendezvous.